Hi guys, so I'm going to make a video talking about Nintendo's greed. First of all, I did not purchase this. This is my roommate's copy. But Bayonetta 2 came out this week, and they include a full game download. They're too cheap to actually include a second cartridge or put both games on one cartridge. Instead, they're going to charge you $60 for a game that they released, I don't know, what was it, like 4 years ago? When's the copyright here? 2014. So yeah, about 4 years ago, they released this $60 game, Bayonetta 2, and they weren't as cheap because they actually included 2 physical games. So if you wanted to play Bayonetta, the original, you just pop your disc in and enjoy. But Nintendo, because of these cartridges costing a little bit more, I mean, it's not a drastic problem for a company that's manufacturing their own carts. They re-release this game 4 years later. They port it over. There's very little improvement in terms of performance and graphical fidelity. So they didn't retexture everything. They didn't, actually like drastically improve the game. All they did was just port it over. It was a very pinpoint port. There was no improvement. But what they do, and I'm gonna cover the code here, but they put a full game download code, which I'm blocking, but then they just give you a single little fucking cart for Bayonetta 2, and this bonus free download of Bayonetta is a download code. And the problem I have with this is, for instance, we have 2 Switches in one household. So in order for me to play the original Bayonetta, I have to use her account or use her Switch. I can't just borrow her cart. So Nintendo not only charges $60 fucking dollars for a game that's already 4 years old, a game that they've more or less recouped the development costs, so they're gonna double dip, charge another $60 fucking dollars with minimal effort in porting it over, and you don't even get the same package that you got in the first release. You don't even get the physical copy because they're cheap assholes. Now, I can sort of excuse Resident Evil Revelations Collection because they didn't charge $60 fucking dollars for this. It was $40. And while it still sucks that you have to not only provide an SD card because this doesn't fit on the built-in storage of the Switch, so all you get is just the cart. You get a little download code on there and you get just a cart of Resident Evil Revelations, the first one. So you have to download the second game. But 26 gigs that you have to download on this thing. This is a handheld device. This is not a console. I mean, if this was, a stationary machine with a hard drive in it, I mean, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But my big stance is if you're spending $60, I expect to get $60 worth out of the game. And for a game that they just simply ported over and they're gonna charge the same price, I just think that that's a problem. And it's the same thing with Skyrim VR. They did the same thing. The game, it was released in 2010, 2011 or something like that, and they're still charging $60 to this day for yet another port of the game that all it does is allow you to use VR. That's it. That's all it does. But companies are really just insanely greedy these days. I've been standing by reading all of the reports about loot boxes, microtransactions, the whole, Battlefront 2 debacle. I've wanted to make a video about it. I've wanted to say my thoughts on things, but my thoughts are always the same. It's the companies are greedy fucks. There's always going to be these defenders that are saying, no, but the companies need this money when they don't. It's just that it's annoying for this hobby, for something that, it's the one thing I get to enjoy is games. I mean, I bust my ass, I work all day, and, I just don't like that companies have taken greed to an extreme level now with, you pay $60 for a base game, then they charge you a season pass, and then there's DLC on top of the season pass that's not included in the season pass. And then they add microtransactions and loot boxes saying that, oh, we're giving customers choice when you're not, because you're fucking the game progression up so that way we're encouraged to spend money we don't want to spend. So I don't know. I just think people need to stop rewarding companies for this shit. Like, I'm not buying Bayonetta 2 on the Switch because I have it on the Wii U. Again, this is my roommate's copy, and she wanted to play Bayonetta 2, but I do not agree with a $60 price point for a game that's been out for 4 years. I think that's fucking retarded.